Okay, so I just got to my layover and I just wanted to go over a few things regarding where I live, where I work, and how do I manage it all. I live in Indianapolis. I am based out of Fort Lauderdale, Miami. So every time I have to report to work, I have to report out of my base. So every trip that I begin and every trip that I end has to be either in Fort Lauderdale or Miami. Today, for example, I had to commute to Fort Lauderdale. My working flight was Fort Lauderdale to LAX. In order for me to get to Fort Lauderdale, I typically only take one direct flight, but today I actually had to double commute, meaning I had to catch two flights in order to make it in time for my report time. There were two direct flights that would have gotten me in. I just didn't want to risk it because the time was cutting it too close. So I decided to just leave earlier just to ensure that I was going to be at work on time. So basically I went from Indianapolis to Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale. Then I got ready at the airport because the time that I had between when I landed and when I had to report was really short. If not, what I do is I go to my mom's house. My mom lives there. I have a great setup actually, and that's why to me it's just not a problem. Tomorrow, I go back to Fort Lauderdale and I just go to my mom's house and I'll just hang out with my mama. So it's just like a win-win. Yes, I have to leave home to get to work, but my mom is where I work. So it's an ideal situation. Also, I only work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I am off Monday through Thursdays. I'm glad that this job is so flexible that it actually allows me to do all of that. Tomorrow, I fly back to Fort Lauderdale, like I said, and tomorrow is Saturday. So Sunday, I have one more trip, which is just going to New York and coming back to Fort Lauderdale. Then after that, I just commute back home to Indianapolis. It's actually really not that bad. Obviously, if you're not in the industry, it probably seems like something completely outrageous, but it really isn't. I had transferred to Detroit for a brief moment because the commute from Detroit to Indianapolis is actually really short. It's about a 45-minute flight. When it comes to Fort Lauderdale, it's a 2-hour and 30-minute commute. It was worth it. I just wanted to be back home, I guess, or like what I was familiar with in a sense. To me, priority was I get to go and see my mom every weekend. I have a place to stay. I don't have to get a crash pad. I don't have to pay for a hotel. I don't have to worry about being at an airport for hours and hours on end. Me being in Detroit, I would have to just worry about so many things.